That is part of the beauty of Snow White. It has been for 88 years now, that she just sees the good in everyone and everything. And I hope that I and so many people who watch this film can embody that as well.
You know how you handle an actor? You pull down their pants and you spank their ass.
You spank that ass, Les.
What?
Holy shit! Holy shit! Chicken jockey! Holy shit!
I think it was John Carpenter who once said that sequels, remakes, and so forth are so popular because studios simply can't afford to pay for marketing anymore. That's become too expensive to take out ads, run commercials, and so forth.
The thinking is maybe you saw it with your brother when you were young on home video. We're going to update it. So it has a built-in awareness.
Yeah, okay, John. I love your films, but that simply doesn't track when you're posting YouTube videos for free and you're spending upward of $600 million for movies like Snow White.
Frankly, this thing sucks.
Regardless, this week has been CinemaCon. But honestly, on behalf of everybody on planet Earth, who gives a shit? Comic-Con used to be a cool idea. It used to be, you'd find your tribe, you would go to a little convention. They didn't have studio heads and conglomerates and corporations and these giant, just gross corporate feels to them. You would actually just go there and find your people and have a good time. Now CinemaCon in Vegas is where you have a combination of overrated, over-the-hill, bland celebrities and studio heads telling you what's on the docket for the next year or 2 years of potentially sequel slop. I guess this would be cool if movies were actually still good and you had disposable income to burn, but I digress. I look at all these people that were invited and so forth, and I just think like how they're being pumped up by PR people, and they're doing these little vlogs and these little TikToks, and they're just like, oh my god, so cool. But honestly,
who cares?
95% of these titles are sequels, requels, prequels, or reboots of things that Gen X and millennials liked 10 to 20 years ago. You got Shrek 5, John Wick 5, Spider-Man 4, Spider-Verse 3, Jumanji 4, Karate Kid 7, Resident Evil 11, 28 Days Later 3, 4, and 5, I Know What You Did Last Summer 4, Final Destination 6, Black Phone 2, Megan 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and Jurassic Park 7. Can we just stop? Everything is just starting to feel like a copy of a copy of a copy. And this all, of course, feels like a desperate move by studios that have been having an all-time low at the 2025 box office, and they like to distract you from how bad it's actually become. Before CinemaCon, we had the Doomsday Cast Announcement. Chairs. 5 hours of fucking chairs. I mean, even Hugh Jackman was like, empty chairs and empty tables.
Cans! Cans!
Give it a rest. Right? And it just feels like a giant distraction to make you forget that Snow White was probably the biggest box office bomb that may have killed the cinemas altogether. They want to distract you with like, hey, it's the #1 movie at the box office, and, there's 2 new episodes of Daredevil tonight, and Simpsons is going to have a non-stop binging stream platform on Disney+. And of course, Malcolm in the Middle, don't forget, we're coming back with that, but no Dewey and no brother of this guy.
Hi, my name is Danny Masterson. Would you like to touch my
I mean, seriously, Snow White easily is probably the biggest failure of cinema history. $600 million. I've been watching the news, and it's just like you got Rachel Zegler in an empty movie theater just rooting for her own movie. And again, Disney called it the #1 movie in America by default. They got rid of the UK premiere. They made the US premiere very niche, only inviting about 108 critics, and they took no questions, mostly just photographers, and you're like, something doesn't seem right. We even found out that Gal Gadot needed extra security after Zegler pulled out that Free Palestine horseshit. And Zegler, I don't even know where to go with her. Jesus Christ. The thing about Zegler is that while she is possibly the most annoying, self-entitled brat ever to grace our screens, she's largely like Frankenstein's monster, and Disney's the one pulling the switch. They crafted her this way. You know what I mean? They tried to write it off as like, oh, Rachel Zegler, yeah, but where did she get the programming from? Let's be honest. Why did you hire her? You see, Disney likes to be a little bit more subtle in their nuance of messaging and ideology. They don't like to hit you directly across the face with it. They kind of just like to, take little digs at you. Disney is a lot like an organized cult. They basically sit you down, they guilt you, they tell you that you should be ashamed for who you are, and at the end of it, they ask for a paycheck. Gaslighting at its absolute finest. Or if you like the technical psychological term, Darvo. But since we have these long lines of chairs, let's take a quick look, shall we? You have Iron Man, who's not playing Iron Man, the original X-Men, who premiered in a movie that came out before 9/11, and two Avenger-adjacent teams that haven't even proved their worth yet, not to mention you spoil the fact that they're probably gonna live. And beyond that, you have a lot of these B characters that were essentially in not very successful movies. You know, Shang-Chi was not a hit. Wakanda Forever, not the biggest of hits. The Marvels, what have you, they're all kind of just mid at best. They didn't build up to anything, they didn't pay anything off, and it's going to feel very much like when the DCEU couldn't really keep up with Marvel, so they just put everything they could into one film. You know, I can't help it's like the same feeling like when you go to like Target or Walmart and they have like those little mystery toys, right? And let's just say it's the Avengers, and you're like, you open it up and it's a little tiny thing, and you're like, what's it gonna be? Is it gonna be Tony or Cap or Hulk or, you know, Black Widow? And you open up and it's like Macabu. Alright, well, that's something. You know, you always feel cheated. Not to mention that they wasted 5.5 hours of people's time with this big announcement. I mean, that's not really the way you should follow up a domestic and worldwide failure on your part. You know, show a little humanity, show a little humbleness, if you will. Because this ain't it. By this point, I think everyone knows that they are pretty much living in their own tiny little ideology bubble, and there is absolutely no room for anyone outside of that. And even if we got all the heavy-handed, preachy messaging out of the film, that won't take away from the fact that we still have some pretty non-memorable films, because writers don't know how to write anymore. I mean, let's take a look at their docket, shall we? We got Lilo and Stitch, Avengers 6 and 7, yes, I am counting Civil War, Moana live action, Moana 3, Freakier Friday, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and How to Train Your Dragon. And I guarantee you, not one of those titles will you or your family walk away from and go, wow, man, that was better than the original. I really love how that live action element just took it to the next level. They've thrown away the script, the characters, the point, the plot, everything that you liked about it, but hey, it's kind of live action. Until they rotoscope over those characters and make them these evil abominations. Thanks, Disney. You're the best. You know, remember, they're a business. They will bullshit you into the ground on the premise that they think that they'll make money. It's why they fired Johnny Depp and Jonathan Majors without a second thought, and why there's no black people on their posters in other countries. If you think they actually give a shit about you and your way of thinking, I hate to tell you, they don't. Time to grow up, Peter Pan. Count Chocula. I mean, honestly, the only thing that they have right now that's somewhat decent is Daredevil, but nobody's watching it. Which is kind of a shame because, like, despite its many flaws, it's not terrible. It's got some good moments here and there. I really love what Charlie Cox has always done with Matthew Murdock, and I don't blame him because he didn't write the damn thing. I love John Berthnall as the Punisher. It's got the potential. But as we near the season finale, I can't help but think that they're gonna just miss the landing once again. You know, I watched this and I gotta wonder, like, was this written before they knew that Trump was gonna win? Because there's a couple signs there, like they seem a little too smug with themselves. You got lines like this.
Well, this city actually elects him then. Maybe New York's getting the mayor it deserves.
And this.
Ah, the famous Kamala. Yes, Kamala.
We have to stay woke. Everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke.
And you're just like, you guys really do love patting yourselves on the back a lot, don't you? And they really thought that chairs would be the thing that would win us back. 5.5 hours of chairs. Like, we forgot how awful they are. I mean, take a look at this clip.
Yes, that's great, but over here she's gonna be even better.
If that doesn't convince you how awful they are in their thinking, I don't know what will. I mean, everything that they put out recently has been nostalgia bait. You got Deadpool and Wolverine, you got the characters that they pulled out of the grave from that. They haven't made a single IP in their own house of mouse in years. I long for the days of the 90s, when you had the renaissance of Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King. Those movies were solid, and since then they've been aping films like that, hoping that you will not seem to care about the change and shift in the way that they write and message these films.
Listen when she speaks. Smells of trouble with that one.
Which has really turned me off from Disney, so I went a little bit deeper into this. I went digging. I wanted to see, what is their deal? And I was watching Friday Night Tights with Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker and all those guys. And they were talking about a proposal that was put forth at their latest investors meeting that they tend to bury underneath, the carpet. They don't want you to know about it, but I went digging, I found it. And I gotta admit, I was a little put out by it. And I'm sure, there's going to be people in the comments right now who are going to give me all kinds of shit. That's fine. I don't care for even bringing this up. But let me just play the clip and you can decide for yourself.
The Human Rights Campaign acts as a kind of mafia, forcing companies to embrace gender ideology in exchange for a high rating in the Corporate Equality Index. The HRC leverages corporations to support its work to legalize child sex changes and men in girls' locker rooms.
Basically, the guy's like saying, hey, stop, grooming children.
Accordingly, it is not surprising that in recent months, 19 name brand companies totaling over $4 trillion in market cap have dropped the HRC CEI. Companies like Tractor Supply, John Deere, Harley Davidson, Polaris, Indian Motorcycle, Lowe's, Ford, Coors, Stanley Black & Decker, Jack Daniels, Caterpillar, Toyota, Walmart, McDonald's, Meta, Target, Accenture, Pepsi, and AT&T. Pushing on children the belief that they can be born in the wrong body and that such beliefs should be affirmed by minors taking puberty blockers.
What the fuck did I just hear?
Or even undergoing experimental surgeries, sometimes behind the back of their parents, is bad for business. You can help Disney get out of that business by voting in favor of our proposal.
The Board of Directors has recommended a vote against this proposal for the reasons set out in the proxy statement.
And they vote no.
So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife.
Good Lord. That's your Disney, ladies and gentlemen.
For item 5, we have received proxies for approximately 1% of shares voting to approve the proposal.
I find that hard to believe that 1% of investors would be against that. Just 1%.
The next item is a shareholder proposal by Dana Tuggle. Jerry Boyer will now present the proposal.
My name is Jerry Boyer, president of Boyer Research. I represent the proponent for proposal number 6, and I'm here to ask for your vote on that proposal, asking Disney to commit to politically neutral ad policies. Political neutrality is increasingly considered the best practice. In its statement on inclusion, Disney says it commits to championing a culture where everyone belongs. Well, if it's committed to everyone belonging, it's common sense that Disney would want political neutrality to be its standard in advertising. The damage of Disney's partisan ad buying policies has already been done. Shareholders rightly expect the company to be politically neutral in its ad policies. Disney needs to take tangible steps to restore trust that its ad policies aren't biased against right-of-center media figures and outlets. In the name of political neutrality and a focus on business growth for shareholders of all political leanings, I urge a vote in favor of proposal number 6.
The Board of Directors has recommended a vote against this proposal for the reasons set forth in the proxy statement.
For item 6, relating to a report on risk related to selection of ad buyers and sellers, we have received proxies for approximately 1% of shares voting to approve the proposal. That concludes my report, Mr. Gutierrez.
No, they are still the same creepy fucking company they are always going to be.
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
But they bury these proposals. They were never going to win. And I think that got 1% of the vote.
But let's just say that doesn't mess up this movie. Let's just say they go the Deadpool and Wolverine route where they really try to pull it back and wait a little bit before they slam you again, because they will. They're gonna take a beat, they're gonna get some people back, and then they're gonna hit you again. Let's take a look at this, right? We got the X-Men. And I've seen Professor X die about 3 times now, and I really don't want to see him die a 4th time. It's like, you could tell that the people who make these movies are like, this guy's kind of old, and we don't know if he'll ever be back again, so let's just kill him off just to be safe. But you have no emotional stakes with these characters. I don't care. You can get rid of every single character on this long row of chairs, and I kind of wouldn't care. All the characters that I do like have pretty much reached their arc and have completed everything, and the characters that haven't really sold me on the idea. But hold on, everybody. We have Black Iron Thief coming out in a month or 2. Hold on, hold your brews, hear me out, alright? Because they put out a promotional photo trying to get people amped up after Snow White. And this photo is just like, if this is the best they could put out, and I think they know they have a stinker on their hands, this is the best they could put out, but let's break it down, right? Is she black? Yes, you could tell because still, to this day, Disney cannot hire a black cinematographer who knows how to light black people very well. This is a horrible looking photo. The lighting is abysmal. They did this actress dirty, if you want my opinion, because that's not the way it should look. She looks like she's like a character from like Alice in Wonderland or Us or something like that. It shouldn't look like a horror movie. Like, what are you doing? Not to mention she looks absolutely horrified. This is not engaging. I think everyone just looks at this and goes like, what the fuck? It's gonna be like Daredevil or Echo. It's just gonna be like, a fart in the wind. It's going to be lost to time, like tears in rain. And then from like the little bit that we did see, they have like a little mini trailer. It wasn't even a full trailer, just like a little bit. And it's just like, in a nutshell, you got 3 different sections. It's like you have section 1 where she's just like, I want to be on top of the world, but I'm 15 or 17 and I just haven't made it yet. Well, yeah, you're 17. You're not supposed to be on top of the world yet. Okay? That's not how that works. And her mentor, the guy from Hamilton, who I like as an actor, I really do. I thought Hamilton was great. I think he's a great actor. He basically tells her, like, well, hey, you know, anybody who's ever gotten where they've gotten, they definitely cut some corners. And the next thing you know, she's lighting things on fire and stealing money. Because I'm sorry, nobody earns a paycheck, goes home and goes, wee! You know, but like she's, you know, blub, 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 blub. But it's like, yeah! And I'm just like, what are we doing? If I was black, I would be offended by this. I would be like, okay, Disney, so you're representing me in this movie. And you have our main black character who's committing arson and thievery. And that's all you showed in the trailer, by the way. You could have put anything in this little snippet, but that's what you chose to go with. So yeah, Black Iron Thief is the name that I've given her. Deal with it. I didn't write it. And at $18 a pop, I just don't know if people are going to be going out to the movies for this anymore. I think they will, but I think it's not going to be like the golden days. It's not going to be like Infinity War and Endgame and stuff like that. It'll make money, of course. People will go see it. But depending on what they do, I mean, the movie's supposed to come out in, I think, about 14 months. To give you context, when they made Endgame and Infinity War, I think they had about 3 years to make those movies. I think. You know, don't quote me on that. But to push a movie from like the writing stage to filming right away in 14 months after you basically threw away the whole Kang Dynasty bullshit, and now you're just gonna just punt the football and hope for the best. I hope Downey can bring the magic. He's gonna have to, and they're gonna have to bring back every single character. They said that these 27 actors is only the first row of announcements, that we're gonna have more. And I imagine it's gonna mirror the beginning of Infinity War, where you kind of have like a round robin of like, okay, here's Spider-Man, here's Thor, and you're gonna go around and around and around, but you're gonna be doing it with characters that people don't care about. Characters that haven't been very well established. I mean, we haven't seen Shang-Chi in how many years? 4 years? But now we're gonna push them. It's like, hey, Shang-Chi, I'm back. It's like, I don't care. I don't think anybody cares. I don't hear anybody buzzing about this, short of children that just are like, I'll watch anything. I mean, Minecraft came out, and you have children throwing sodas at the screen, throwing popcorn in the air. You have police coming into the theater and telling them to stop because the theaters are losing money when they have to refund the people who don't want to be in that audience. And you're like, wow, Gen Alpha, you really went to Gen Z and said, hold my beer. And I don't think movies are going to survive in the next 5 years. I really don't. I think you'll have your Endgame and your Secret Wars, and I think after that, you're going to see a steep, deep decline. Because after that, how do you even go on? You know, people don't want fan casting. They want good stories, character arcs, setup and payoff, and they have, for reasons that I can't understand, they are completely bankrupt of all of that. Why? Because you ordered too many DEI coordinators? Too many chefs in the kitchen? I don't understand why the quality has to be so bad. I know that I think 88% of the world market is owned by BlackRock, which the CEO is this guy, who allegedly caused the 2008 market crash and then kind of scooped in and then took over control. There's this great video that I found by a YouTube channel called Moon. I'll leave the link right here. That's what the thumbnail looks like. And it's kind of scary. And I don't like it. But bottom line is that, you know, I don't think Disney will ever change. I don't really care if they do. Let them die on the sword. It's fine by me. I will give you a silver lining, though. Of all these studios that are just kind of doing the same thing, there is one outlier, and that is Prime. I'm not being sponsored by them, although if you're watching this and you guys do want to sponsor me and plug you, I most definitely will. But they are the one streaming service or studio that I've been consistently seeing really good stuff. You know, things like Reacher, Landman, Mobland, and the Bondsman. All of them are just like male-centric, like it's the fucking 80s. You got a male character, he's not being kicked in the balls by everybody else, he's not being called a creep, he's not being called an idiot, he's just like what you would want out of a male lead in a movie. So I would definitely check those out. The Bondsman's really good. Landman's great. I've only seen the first episode of Mobland, but it's got Tom Hardy and Pierce Brosnan. They're fantastic. And more than that, the other thing that I'm kind of hopeful to hear back on is Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson, Dennis Quaid, and Billy Bob Thornton have started this new campaign to bring Hollywood to Texas. I think there's a video that came out 2 months ago called True to Texas, and McConaughey is kind of just summarizing how, like, Hollywood has gone to crap, and he's like, he says something to the effect of, like, I don't want to turn the record off, I just want to change the tune. They get all these tax incentives that they can really help Texas, they film there, get more Tyler Sheridan kind of shows out there, and that's what I want to see happen. I want original storytelling. I want the characters to feel like real characters from real life, not to feel, not for $18 a pop. No fucking way. Here's a clip.
So what do you say, Texas legislature? You don't like what Hollywood's been dishing? Let's take over the kitchen.
Until next time, guys, I have been Burns here on Burnt Out Cinema, and I will see you next time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CinemaCon 2025. My name is Tom Holland, and I will be returning in Toy Story 4, the Spider-Man 4, and I'm going to be bringing my skinny wife and my skinny self, and we're going to be having skinny children, the most vanilla skinny children you've ever seen. It's going to be Spider-Man! So be sure to buy your tickets now. Go buy a popcorn bucket, see it in IMAX. We need your money. Okay, Mickey, please take it out. Okay, goodbye everyone. Bye!